Hello everyone, this is the finale of What If Naruto Was Betrayed and Let His Anger Out, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Naruto flew backwards at the bidding of Itachi's fist. Kira appeared in front of him, hands glowing. She jumped at Itachi, trying to hit him. She winked. Hey, where have you been all my life? Itachi blinked once, then twice. He struck at her, which she blocked. Pervert. She kicked him, threatening to end what remained of the proof of his manhood. Itachi's eyes flashed red. Mangekyo Sharingan. Amaterasu. A black flame emerged from his mouth, which Kira jumped over. Itachi swallowed a soldier pill and cried, "Tsukuyomi." The red world appeared, then disappeared. Itachi looked stunned. Kira tapped her temple. Forgot to give you my card. First class genjutsu, medic, blonde, but mainly genjutsu. I've trained so much at that even the Tsukuyomi can be stopped, as long as I can make seals. Itachi cursed, then launched into action. Kisame was still doubled over in pain. Kira patted him on the head. I'm sorry, Jaws-kun. His response was an angry grunt. Suten, Suiruden no Jutsu. As far as I can figure out, this is Jap, for water release, water dragon bullet. A large dragon, made completely of water, flew towards Itachi, who dodged. Lirinian grinned. This one is a bit ironic. Suten, Sukoden no Jutsu. Water release, water shark missile technique. The shark struck, sending Itachi back several feet. Now, Suten, Daibakufu no Jutsu. Water release, great waterfall technique. Itachi managed to dodge, but the area was surrounded by water. Itachi floated to the surface. Naruto looked at Lirinian, and they both nodded. Suten, Suigarden. Water release, water fang bullet. 10 tendrils of piercing water burst out of the water, driving into Itachi's flesh, sending him backwards into the water. It was Naruto's turn. Suten, Goshokuzame. Water release, 5 feeding sharks, and I know that only the Akatsuki members are seen using these two techniques, but what's to think that Kirigakure didn't teach Kisame that technique, and besides, Kirigakure is Water Country's hidden shinobi village. www. Be in the water. Shut up, Kira. Naruto stood up, placing his hands behind his head. Well, that was easy. You were S. Kisame had seemingly recovered and was moving towards Kira. She waved. Hello, handsome. She pouted her lips and fluttered her eyelashes in the blue man's direction. Q sweet drop. I don't know her. Both blonde males stated at once. Jonaza, Hiden and Kakazu. Geez, I'm bored. Hiden threw the scythe again, to have it deflected by Jonaza again, this time not being courteous enough to return it. That thing. Why would you chuck that at an innocent fellow? Hiden growled. Kakazu removed his cloak. Alright, time to get serious. All 2 of the masks came out, a chimera and an eagle. Geez, I thought you could do better than that. Shut up, brat. Futon, Atsugai. Suten, Karada Taki. Those 2. Jonaza easily cleared the area before the destructive techniques were performed. He charged at Kakazu and struck with his fist. However, the fist was repelled. So, you're using the iron body. Now I am. Jonaza sighed. And all those damn seals that lightning jutsu need. Well, suppose it can't be helped. Chidori. He thrust the other fist into Kakazu's torso, causing the flesh to burn. Kakazu cursed, and then rammed his fist into Jonaza, sending him flying. Threads flew out of Kakazu's arms, catching Jonaza, and holding him in front of Kakazu, who started to make seals. Hiden, hurry. Hey, I don't really like the rituals either, damn it, so shut up. I'm almost done. Hiden's pike appeared in his hands, and he s Jonaza's cheek with it. Jonaza's cerulean orbs of eyes, usually cold, were dull as he asked Hiden, what was that for? Calling me a toy and knocking away my scythe. Sorry, whore. Hiden flared while putting the bee pike into his mouth, licking the bee off. He made a strange seal on the ground. I'm going to name this move, for those of you who have read part 2. Hidden art, Black Reaper technique. Dual damage. Hidden started to transform. His face's color turned into a black H with white around it. The rest of his body, besides his calves and forearms, was entirely black. Hidden grinned. Well, now, how do I look? It's an improvement, trust me. Hidden drew his pike up to S position, facing towards him. Any last words? Not that I can say in front of someone with the maturity of a duck. Hidden struck back. Jonaza closed his eyes, and the orb that was his favorite method to travel surrounded him. He reappeared right in front of Hidden and grabbed the pike, stopping it from entering Hidden's flesh. Retards shouldn't play with sharp objects. Zabuza destroyed another of Deodara's birds. They had started to get annoying. He made a seal. Water style, water prison technique. A sphere of compressed, hardened water surrounded Deodara. Zabuza pulled out the sword on his back, being careful to keep one hand in the sphere. He raised the sword to strike. Deodara started to swell. Seconds later. Boom. Zabuza fell back, a burn covering one arm. Deodara fell back in pieces. That was interesting, yeah. Zabuza swiveled around. There was Deodara, as intact as always. Or, well, usual. Deodara leapt onto another bird, Zabuza leaping after him. Suten, Suiruden no Jutsu. A huge dragon shot after Deodara, crashing into the bird, dissolving it. Deodara tumbled down, his hands in the packs at his sides. With Haku and Sasori, needle after needle clanged of Sasori's puppet armor. Haku made the seal of the tiger. The mirrors floated in the air, two more on the bottom providing a platform for Sasori to stand on. The mirror which had Haku on it tilted slightly. He vanished. Many small scratches appeared on Sasori's shell of Hiroku. The mirrors shattered with a large crash, sending many shards in every direction. Quite a few slammed into Sasori, who also had a 50 feet drop to look forward to. Fun in its highest form. Needless to say, the Hiroku puppet burst into two pieces after colliding with the ground from that height, after being pummeled by near 1,000 needles and pieces of shrapnel. Haku made several seals. Blasting ice crystal. A large crystal surrounded the thing inside Sasori's remains. Haku leapt up, then hurled 5 senbon at the crystal, shattering it. The thing fell. Haku ran forward, his hand extended. Ice style, hand crystal. A huge, long, thin blade of ice sprang from Haku's hand, impaling the thing where it lay. Haku pulled the crystal out of the body, broke it off and wielded it like a sword, unsheathing his true blade, the two-bladed one he took from Lyrenian. He walked over and prodded, what he saw to be a body. It looked to be a boy of about 20 years of age, with red hair and blue eyes. The body stirred. So, you managed to destroy Hiroku. Very impressive. However, I won't be broken so easily. Haku merely stared. Here was a person who had been hidden inside a puppet, been frozen, been S6 times, and then is still talking like they have a chance to win. He has something to learn. Haku charged, swinging his sword. He slammed the blade into Sasori's head, making too large C, which would KO even the most durable ninja. The puppet master simply stared at him. If that's your best, I would hate to see your worst. Haku cursed. Damn, I'm only about halfway full of chakra, and I can't perform my techniques without care. Still, if I could reach my pack, there's the chakra replenishing potion Zabuza-sama made. Haku leaped off to the east, grabbing a pack camouflaged against a tree. He opened it, and took out a bottle with a purple liquid inside. Haku took of the cork and emptied the vial. Sasori took out a scroll. I will give you the honor of seeing my best. 2 hours later. Is that the last of it, Lyrenian? The golden-haired boy nodded. It is. If only it wasn't Haku. For some reason, Sasori's poison is affected for the worst by Haku's B and his Kekkei Genkai. Even Kira can't handle it, and she's the best medic in Kirigakure. Jonaza laughed cruelly, in a rueful kind of way. You've lived in Kiri your whole life, since when has it had the highest survival rate? Lyrenian shook his head. Never. Only a team of 10 or more top-class medics could save him. We have, maybe, at the best, 2. I only know one village that we don't have a problem with that has that many good medics. Quote. Jonaza sighed heavily. Don't tell me. Konohagakure. Well, Naruto might be happy. We're going back to that hellhole. Why would I be happy? Jonaza laughed, the call down the hallway. Are you mad because Kira is playing Onbu? Why did we come here again? Because Haku-kun got hurt. Why do you always have to have an answer? Because I'm smarticles. Shuari. Yep. Aha. Totally. You can probably guess who we're talking. Let's just get to the tower, can we? The lucky 5 who got to go were Naruto, of course, Kira, of course, Lirinian, Haku, H, Stupid, and Zabuza, of course. Jonaza had to stay at Kiri to help with the war plans and paperwork. Water bunch and got it all wet. They weren't clad with the cloaks they wore the last time they came to Konoha. Instead, they were clad in the usual combat gear. Naruto had a Jonan vest on, over a black bodysuit, like Kakashi's. Lirinian was dressed in a black bodysuit with a combat jacket over it. Zabuza was dressed in his wrappings and a black sleeveless shirt. Haku was on the litter, so he was dressed normally. Kira was dressed in a short-sleeved shirt, a pair of shorts, and had a first aid pack on her back. They continued walking, drawing glares from the crowds. They eventually reached the tower. Another injury you need treated. Tsunade laughed inwardly at Kirigaku's incompetence. She knew that they would eventually have another serious injury that they wouldn't be able to treat. Listen, old hag, this isn't an injury, this is a poisoning by a member of Akatsuki, and it happens to collide with Haku-san's bee, creating a violent reaction. So can you extract the poison or not? Tsunade frowned. I can, if you're nicer. Naruto sighed. Fine. Will you please help? Tsunade smiled. That's more like it. It may take a few days, so go ahead and walk around the village, see what there is to see. And you might be surprised at what has changed in 2 years. Humph. With Naruto, what has changed? Naruto thought as he was walking towards his favorite shop in the village, Ichiraku. When he turned the corner, he gasped. Guess what the sign said? That's right. Closed. Naruto started to silently cry. How could this happen to him? The author is mean. Get used to it. Well, he could still beat up some Poles. He walked off to his favorite training ground. When he arrived, he saw that something else was already attacking the Poles. A drill-like thing slammed into the pole, nearly decimating it. Another crashed into the pole, completely destroying it. Naruto grinned. He hadn't seen Kiba in almost 5 years. Could it hurt to talk to him? Hey, dog breath. Both drills turned towards Naruto and went full speed ahead. He neatly sidestepped them, then delivered a kick towards both of them, hitting one. Kiba launched himself at Naruto from the ground. I knew you, come back. Naruto avoided the punch, and then delivered another, saying, sorry, we're not staying. Kiba stopped his assault and looked at him queerly. Are you developing a golem thing or something? Who's, we? Naruto pointed at his forehead. Kiba followed his hand and settled his eyes on the headband. His brow furrowed. You have got to be joking. Nope. I'm a member of Kirigaku village. That's news. Naruto turned to see someone who looked like, well, someone you wouldn't trust. Who are you? I'm surprised you don't recognize me, Naruto. Well, who are you? A cloud of beetles flew in, and the person stepped on them and was lifted into the air. Oh, hey, Shino. Now he recognizes me. Well, sorry, I haven't spent much time in this village for 5 years, and I don't intend to start now. Why not? Naruto turned again, this time to see someone dressed in a Chunin vest and a tight green bodysuit. Lee, you too. Did Tsunade put up posters or something? No, we were watching form outside the window. Who's we? Me and Neji. He had to do something though, I think it has to do with the party tonight. And Tsunade told me to invite you. Naruto sighed. Already it had been a long day. I think it's over there. A small gang of children were running and yelling. Naruto grabbed one and said, hey, what's that way? The kid wrenched away and started running again, yelling. This blonde-haired guy is fighting Master Uchiha. Naruto sighed again. Just like Lirinian, pick a fight with someone who pisses you off. 15 minutes later, Naruto, Kiba, Lee, and Shino had good positions at the arena. Which was, coincidentally, nothing but a training ground. Training ground 44. It was inside the tower, though, not in the woods. Adult shinobi gave the children and younger shinobi help through the forest, but it still took nearly 3 hours before they could begin. Sasuke and Lirinian stood facing each other in the middle of the floor. Lirinian drew his sword, pointing the dual tips at Sasuke. Come. The word was a challenge. Sasuke drew his sword and charged. Lirinian caught it between his blades, then flung it behind him into the wall with his own blade. He held up his now bare hand in a position you might consider to be a seal. Come. Sasuke jumped into the air, making rapid hand seals. Fire style, Phoenix technique. A huge bird-like thing flew towards Lirinian, calmly making seals. Water style, water dragon technique. A huge dragon of water crashed into the bird, causing a huge amount of steam. Lirinian paused, looking at the steam as if it would rear back and attack him. For all he knew about this opponent, it would. But the assault came from a different direction. Kaiten, Gukakyu no Jutsu. Another huge fireball came down on Lirinian, this time from above. He leaped out of the way, and threw a K towards the source of the flame. A grunt told him he had hit his target. Damn it, that hurt. Kira waved down. He's like that. No fun at all. Sasuke attempted to ignore her. Lirinian, noticing this, laughed. She's like that. No brains at all. Sasuke charged, pulling out his own K.B streaming through the air. Lirinian made a rapid series of seals. Water style, great waterfall technique. A huge amount of water fell on Sasuke with the force of a ton of bricks. Well, a ton of anything, really. Did you know that a ton of bricks and a ton of feathers weigh the exact same? Anyway, back to the story. After managing to stand back up, Sasuke sprinted to the back wall. Lirinian ed his head puzzled. Then he realized, and grinned. Sasuke was going after his sword. Once he reached the wall, Sasuke grabbed both swords and turned towards Lirinian, who shook his head. You should know that the 7 soldiers of the mist would protect their swords better than that. He made a seal. Blade of Dawning. A blinding light burst from the twin blades of Lirinian's sword. Sasuke immediately threw it to the ground and stuck his hand in his mouth. Lirinian walked over and picked it up. You know, Ishira Shikuri isn't one for the faint of heart. She will seek out your weaknesses and utilize them to their fullest. Sasuke charged, brining his sword back into a swinging position. Lirinian leaped into the air and fell down on Sasuke with a clang. They both swung their blades at incredible speeds, both of them ending up in a position where only a fluke spared the other's life. Lirinian leaped away, and pointed the ends of his sword at Sasuke. You were better than I expected. Thanks, you're pretty good yourself. Lirinian closed his eyes for a minute, then opened them. Lightning rage. A blot of electricity, channeled and amplified between the two blades of Lirinian's sword, shot at Sasuke, who barely got out of the way in time. 4 more shots came, each barely avoided. Sasuke's eyes flashed. I didn't think I'd have to use this. The stereotypical Sharingan eyes flashed up. Lirinian raised an eyebrow. What an honor, facing the mirror wheel I so early in our acquaintance. However, unluckily for you, Zabuza-san and Haku-san taught me how to negate the Sharingan, in case we ever had to fight your brother. And let me tell you, that was much harder than this. Lee, at the sidelines, gripped the bar that prevented the audience from falling. Is he saying that Sasuke-san is weak? Naruto shook his head. No, it's a thing he's learned from Kira. She acts brainless, but she acts brainless for a reason. It annoys her enemies so much they make mistakes. Lirinian is doing the same here, but he's trying to make him angry instead of annoy him. Lee nodded. I understand, I think. Sasuke glared. He charged at Lirinian, his sword back in preparation for the swing. Lirinian brought his up and they met with a jarring crash. Sasuke flew back to crash against the wall. What the? Lirinian grinned. Well, one of my hands was holding the sword, but did you really expect the other hand to do nothing? Sasuke shook his head. I don't believe you. Well, don't believe this. Lirinian leaped at Sasuke, his foot backwards to kick Sasuke in the face. Sasuke jumped up. And unfortunately, he moved the target. Most of the male members of the audience shuddered. Naruto downright looked like he was going to faint. Lee turned to him. What's wrong? Well, Lirinian kicks really hard. Lee turned away, green in the face. 1 day later. Well, is he okay? Sakura shook her head at Lirinian. He might be, but he's always going to have certain sensitivities to that area. Lirinian shrugged. Who doesn't? Sakura glared at him. Girls don't, that's who. Lirinian grinned. But who important doesn't? He was on the floor gasping a second later with Sakura walking down the hall in a huff. Naruto laughed. I told you she hit hard. One day previously, village hidden in mist. I understand why you want someone to help doing this now. The Mizukage chuckled. He could tell that the paperwork was having an effect on Jonaza. Well, he didn't have to do it 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. I am a Christian, so there are going to be Sundays and church. Sorry to all you atheists out there, but I'm a Christian. Jonaza picked his head of the desk and picked up his pencil from the floor. I pity you greatly. I'm starting to wish I had let Zabuza stayed like he wanted to. I wish I could go be an ambassador. The Mizukage grinned again. Poor Jonaza. Back at Konoha, 1 week later. Naruto was relaxing at the new Ichiraku restaurant. It had been updated to serving plain soups as well as several different kinds of breads. Of course, they still sold ramen. Naruto was bust downing his 15th bowl. The person at the seat next to him was watching in amazement, his jaw touching the floor. Naruto flipped a coin onto the counter and left. He walked until he reached the location of his old apartment. The once sturdy building was now nothing but a pile of ashes. Apparently after running from the village a mob had burned the building. Naruto walked among the ashes, picking up things that had been part of his past life. He saw a certain something, and ran to pick it up and hug it to himself. Shikura stood at the edge of the cliff, the sharp sea air filling his senses as wait, wrong story. Naruto looked at the thing in his hands. He had never expected to see or wear it again. He put it on his head to see if it still fit. Yay. He took his old sleeping cap off and stuffed it in his pack, then sighed. He'd have to find a new place to sleep. Well, there was always the hotel room Zabuza, Lirinian and Kira had rented. He groaned. Spending the night in a tiny hotel room with her. Him now. The next morning, Naruto looked at the bright sun overhead as the smell of wet grass filled his nostrils. His first mission for Konohagakure was today. His team members would be Lirinian, Lee, Neji, and Sasuke. The point of the mission, there was a village that was so corrupt it was said the devil had taken over the rulers' minds. They were to eliminate every living soul in that village. They were mostly bandits, though some A and B class shinobi was said to be among them. Naruto took out his weapons scroll and unsealed it on the table. He took his 2 favorite wakizashis, with blades about a foot long with a hilt that had 2 points rise up about 3 inches. He slipped them into the small cloth rings that were in his pants for that reason. He took 1 pair of artificial claws and stuck them into the 3 side-by-side rings that were in his pants for that reason. He filled his shuriken pouch to the point of overflowing, and his 2 weapons pouches on the back of his shirt had a total of 1.7 kilometers in wire, a pack of explosive notes, and several sealing scrolls should he require any more weapons during the fight. The other pouch on the other side of his shirt held approximately 125k, all stuffed in there in several different areas. He also had a small throwing dagger hidden in his boot, 2 small throwing spikes up each of his sleeves, his sword, and a suit of body armor. He also had a medical kit in his backpack, but didn't plan on taking that. He walked to the gate of the village with Lirinian and stood there to wait for the others. It turned out he would be waiting long enough to go have 7 bowls of ramen at Ichiraku's, take a 3-hour nap, and have some more ramen. Then, finally, Sasuke showed up and they could leave. How many people have noticed I don't really like Sasuke? Oh, and for the record, his uniform is the same as in part 2, but he has a shirt on underneath the robe and he has a leaf hatay 8. They walked to the village uneventfully, and then, while looking at it, they turned and unraveled a map they had of the village, which was rather outdated. Okay, we need to think of a plan that complements all of our abilities, Sasuke said in a quiet voice. I have one. Yes, Naruto. Jump down there and kill them all. Naruto leaped over the cliff that they had been stationed on and pulled his sword out. Lirinian grinned. I like this plan. He followed Naruto over the cliff. Wait, we don't have a proper plan. Neji sighed. Are all Mist Ninja this be? Sasuke sighed. I guess. Lee was following Naruto and Lirinian. Your plan shall complement all of our flowers of youth. Sasuke and Neji rolled their eyes then followed with everyone else. When they reached the village, a sight of B greeted them. There were B of people everywhere. Naruto and Lirinian were apparently almost done. Sasuke leaped at one of the few remaining people and roasted him with a fire technique. Neji ka few with the gentle fist. Lee had probably disabled quite a few people by broken bones. However, Naruto and Lirinian were causing the most damage. Is that all? Flames of hell. A burst of dark blue flame flew towards Naruto, who easily evaded. He turned towards the source. There were 6 people standing on the edge of the village. One of them was holding his hand up, revealing him as the attacker. Naruto shook his head. Well, that wasn't very nice. He leaped at the person. Earth of Hades. A bolt of dirt hit Naruto in the stomach. Another of the people had their hands in the ground, revealing him. Naruto shook his head in disbelief. So, you use the different hells as a power source. Wind of Valhalla. A huge gust of wind slashed at Naruto, nearly decapitating him. Naruto shuddered. The good. He made a series of seals. Earth and fire style, meteor technique. 7 meteors flew down from the sky. Darkness of Tartarus. A bolt of pure blackness struck all of the meteors and destroyed them. Earth style, Earth rage. Several spikes flew out of the ground towards the 6 strange enemies. Ice of Nilfheim. Several icicles sped towards the earth spikes and destroyed them. Chaos of Muspelheim. A dark blue-black flame shot towards Naruto, with several icicles around the edges. A bullet made of earth shot from the center of the flame, propelled by a strong wind. A black shimmer surrounded the whole mass. Naruto gulped. Damn, I don't want to use the black chaos techniques on non-shinobi, oh well. Black chaos, beam of destruction. Except this voice wasn't Naruto's. It was filled with history, and it sounded like this voice had been coming out of people for millennia. Inside Naruto, the Kyuubi was going crazy. SSSSSHHHHHIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIII. Are enough to use them to their full capacity. Where the hell did this kid find them? All of hell will be wrought upon earth unless he can control them. Their ancient power is older and more destructive than even me. A black-white sphere was forming in front of Naruto. It launched a beam of pure black-white energy at the attack the Hellish Six had thrown. For those of you who have played Dirge of Cerberus, it's like the penalty of death weapons attack. For those that haven't played it, I very much suggest you do. Great game. The beam form Naruto plowed through and destroyed the attack from the others, and vaporized the 6. Naruto stood panting. Bad thing about those too much chakra. I haven't stored enough. And with that he fainted. I don't believe it. I know, they've become bolder. Jonaza and the Sandai Mizukage were looking at a scroll. It read. To the Mizukage of Kirigakure village. We, the undersigned, have a need that we cannot meet. So, unto these orders, you shall obey, and thus avert war. You will deliver 2 million in unmarked bills to the point mentioned below, to be delivered by the leader of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, Mesike Jonaza. Mesike is to come alone and unarmed. If you do not follow the commands, you will be attacked and destroyed by the villages of the undersigned. Tsuchikage of Hidden Stone. Rakage of Hidden Cloud. Leader of Hidden Waterfall. Leader of Hidden Sound. Leader of Hidden Rain. He shall carry the money to a bridge in the rice field country on the 20th of August. Jonaza looked at a certain part of the letter and grinned. I'm going to do it. 4 days later, above mentioned bridge. Jonaza was waiting on the top spire of the bridge, his sharp eyes scanning the area for life. There wasn't even a bird or a rabbit. A quick search of the area told him there was a collapsed cave nearby. A special medical technique to scan for life, taught to him by Kira, showed there was only a small amount of but no human beings. Jonaza grinned, reached into his pack, and pulled out a rope. He began to work. The next day. Damn it, he should be here by now. The man swore, a nice long elaborate swear. He was black, tall, sinewy, and covered with battle scars. He had a massive battle hammer in his back. Be patient. This one, a man with a black cloak with 6 piercings by his nose, was ginger-haired and small. He will come. There were 3 other people there. One was dressed in a sleeveless blue shirt with a katana on his back and the symbol for lightning engraved upon the hilt. This was the Rakage of Hidden Cloud. The tall man was the Tsuchikage of the Hidden Stone. There was a man in white robes with a downwards arrow on his forehead protector. Then, finally, there was Orochimaru. Am I late? Jonaza was walking towards the strange five with a bulging bag over his shoulder. The tall man sneered unpleasantly. Very. He held out his hand. Give us the money. Jonaza raised an eyebrow. Well, geez, aren't we impatient? He handed the bag to the man, and then turned away. The rakeage showed life for the first time. I'm afraid we can't let you leave. His voice was surprisingly soft and quiet, almost as if he had barely used it. Jonaza raised an eyebrow again. Why not? Orochimaru grinned in his snake-like way. Well, why else would we have you come unarmed? Jonaza considered this. Oh, well, in that case I guess I'll have to get ugly. He made a seal. The bag exploded. The Tsuchikage was blown backwards into a row of trees. Orochimaru had leapt away from the blast. The rakeage didn't get it too bad, but he had a burn mark on his arm. When Jonaza looked at the leader of Hidden Waterfall, he had a shock. The man was completely shielded by a sphere of water. Jonaza threw a K, recently conjured, at it to no avail. It bounced off as if it had hit brick. Jonaza smiled. Well, Konton, seems you'll be getting some B after all. There was a huge burst of smoke, and the blade appeared in Jonaza's arms. He held it up into his favored battle position. There was a deep, throaty chuckle. So, you think you can take all of us on and triumph? All of you. Only if I am very misfortunate. A few of you will suffice. And so he leapt at the five. Earth-style, avalanche technique. Several huge boulders fell out of the sky towards Jonaza, who easily leapt out of the way and started his own technique. Wind-style, gale force technique. The pleasant breeze that had been blowing suddenly turned into winds that could be a hurricanes. 4 of the 6 people were blown apart, all to different sections of the forest. Jonaza and the Tsuchikage alone were left. He looked around nervously, then, asserting that he was alone, pulled out his hammer and charged. Jonaza leapt over the first blow, but the second collided with his head with enough force to start an avalanche. Poof! Bits of wood fell all around as the log that Jonaza had taken place with were shattered. The Tsuchikage looked around, dumbstruck. Then a K wished past him, see a small mark on his ear. He whirled around. Geez, is that all you have? A simple substitution was enough for that to be avoided. Come on, be a challenge. The Tsuchikage glared at him, then suddenly smirked. He dropped the hammer and made a seal. A second later, a giant stone fist S the tree Jonaza was in. Summoning technique, Golem of the S. A giant man, made of earth, rock, and sand, rose and towered at least 100 feet above the forest. Jonaza whistled. Big. He charged towards the thing with his sword out. He started to run up the monster. It noticed him, and slammed its fist into its sea, making a crater. As it roared in pain, Jonaza kept dodging its fist. When he reached the head, he slammed the sword into its head, and made several seals. He raised his hand, surrounded by flames, and plunged it into the golem's head. He moved his arm around for a while, and then pulled it out. He had a beautiful manuscript, drawn with inks of blue, green, red and white. There was a small box with writing in what looked like B. The golem suddenly stopped flailing its arms, then collapsed to the ground. Jonaza walked calmly off the mound of earth. Who did you get to make this? I thought all the golem makers were S long ago. The Tsuchikage stared in wide-eyed amazement. He had K his last golem in less than a minute. The last person who could do that was, it didn't bear thinking about. Besides, he was 17 years S. While he was doing this, Jonaza easily walked up to him and knocked him unconscious with a blow to head with the flat of his blade. Hard-headed. Jonaza turned to see the rakeage standing behind him, sword out but hanging loosely at his side. Wow, they really let young people become cages now, don't they? Or is it just that the cloud is running short on ninja? The rakeage moved his feet a little. I will show you how I became rakeage. He blurred away. Jonaza laughed. By running away, a small sea appeared in his arm. He turned, to see the rakeage behind him again. My speed is such that I can K an opponent in less than a second. True, but much has room for improvement. Jonaza leapt into the air, and a black sphere surrounded him. The rakeage looked closer, then his eyes widened and he started to leap away. Thousands of K and shuriken were hurtling from the giant sphere. The rakeage tried to knock them away, but he couldn't possibly get them all. He was forced to hide behind a tree. The sphere dispersed, leaving Jonaza hovering in the air. He made another seal and uttered a few inaudible words. A giant spike made of what can only be described as human resource, no, not that, came out and the tree was split in two. An abnormally large splinter hit the rakeage on the head, and fell, out cold. John Azar whistled. 2 unconscious and none s. Must be a record for me. He turned and walked away from the clearing. Konoha, 9 a.m. the morning before. 5 more minutes. Naruto was sleeping on the sofa in the hotel room, on his back with his arms in the air, a look of happiness on his face. No one knows what he was dreaming. Kira's face appeared over the back of the couch, an evil grin on her face. She held a little horn up to her mouth, and blew. There was a large amount of cursing, chasing, wishing to cause severe harm, and throwing of furniture. Once Haku and Zabuza had restored order, Naruto settled down to breakfast. He soon discovered the beetles in his cereal. 2 hours later, Naruto still hadn't calmed down. 3 hours after that. Almost. Hang in there. 1 hour after that. We appreciate your patience. Naruto had finally calmed down, at least enough to only glare at Kira, who merely laughed. Oops. That was a bit mean of me, wasn't it? Isn't it time for lunch? They found it was, and so went to their favorite restaurants in Konoha. Zabuza was disappointed in the lack of sushi. His big brother had made him absolutely love it. He owed that girl something. Naruto was, of course, at Ichiraku. Kira wandered into a high-class restaurant, ate her fill, then left without paying the bill. The manager was looking for a short man with a rather large nose, not a rather short girl. They all had good lunches, paid for or no. They were meeting back at the hotel, when they saw the dove. It was of a perfect gray color, with a white band down its leg. Kirigaku's mail system. Haku read the message out loud. To my 5 swordsmen, war is upon us. John Azar has left to negotiate with the leaders of the assault, though I fear that he might not be able to stand up to the job. I want you to report to the below location and see what you can do. If there is nothing there, then report back to Kirigaku. I fear that we may have to make alliances. Good luck, we will need it. Mizukage of Kirigaku. The Mizukage left a copy of the letter proclaiming war. Naruto grinned. Some action. Finally. This place has been becoming so damned boring. The spot where John Azar fought the village leaders. The 5 swordsmen members were looking around. There wasn't much that they found, but Kira called them with the shrill whistle that was their emergency calling. There were several other wounds upon his body, including one nasty-looking seed that went from the middle of his eye to his chin. Kira sighed. With this many wounds, there is little we can do here but close some of the worse ones and heal a few of the less dangerous but still potentially fatal wounds. Zabuza nodded, and then made a few seals. A man made of water appeared. Tell the Mizukage that we may need some help, and to prepare our immediate healing circle. The waterman nodded, then started to run southwards, then melted into water. Zabuza turned back to the group. Do you remember how to do the long-distance mirrors, Haku? Kirigaku, the next day. We have a report on Mesike, Mizukage-sama. Yes. The chief medic bowed and produced a scroll from within his uniform. There seems to be a massive B loss, as well as several serious injuries. Whatever he fought was able to do massive damage. The strange thing is, all the wounds seem to have been made within 5 or so minutes of each other, and not by a shower of K or other such things. Whatever see him up was a sword, or something like it. It is also incredibly fast. We have managed to heal most of the wounds, but a few, such as the one over his eye, was tainted with a poison that prevents the wounds from closing. There was also a large amount of strange runes on his body that we think might have been a major part of the wounds, as there was a huge gash inside the main part of the lettering. All in all, he will survive, but there will be some scarring, and we need a skilled poison remover beyond that of even Kira-sama. The Mizukage sighed. Bring Zabuza here. With John Azar incapacitated, he is effectively the leader of the 6 swordsmen of the mist. The medic bowed, and exited the room. Zabuza entered seconds later. Yes, Mizukage-sama. Prepare a convoy to the Leaf Village. We need the talents of the Hokage to heal John Azar. I will be coming with it, so tell Naruto to watch the village while I'm gone. You're coming. The Mizukage's eyes glinted. Oh yes, I have something that might convince the Hokage in our favor. 19 days later, Hokage Tower. Hokage-sama, a band of shinobi approaches, bearing a white flag. We do not know their affiliation or their purpose. Do you propose to let them in? Tsunade ground her teeth. A band of ninja, probably an ambush, at this time, oh well. Let me see them and talk to them. Of course, Hokage-sama. Tsunade got ready to meet the band at the gates. 5 minutes later, Konoha gates. Well, what do you want? The leader of the party waved to her. We need to talk, Hokage-san. We have many problems that may concern you. Tsunade sighed. All right, meet me up here. That is out of the question. We have a very injured man who will if you do not treat him, and is already disfigured for the rest of his life. Tsunade was interested now. All right, I will come down there with a few Anbu teams and talk with you. Bring this man. Agreed. Tsunade came down. Now, where is this man? Zabuza came with Haku bearing a stretcher with Jonaza on it. Tsunade gasped. You lied to me. He cannot be a man to have survived these wounds. He is an exceptionally powerful shinobi. Tsunade circled him. It seems there were more wounds, but either shoddily or hastily healed. He was healed quickly so he could be transported to our village for more treatment. I will see what I can do for him. Is there anything else? Yes. The Mizukage gave Tsunade a copy of the letter. She gasped. The man you see before is Mesike Jonaza, the last survivor of his race. He is one of our most valued assets, and he obtained these wounds trying to K these threats to the shinobi world. He needs treatment badly. Tsunade replied, why should I help him? He's an evil man, as bad as Orochimaru, if not worse. I am furious that the mist would take him on. Does he really deserve an S-class rank in a bingo book for trying to get what he needs to destroy one of the greatest threats that this world has ever seen? He has done more than that. True. And imagine if he did a fraction of that to our enemies. Tsunade peered at him. Your voice is very familiar. The Mizukage sighed. I had hoped not for this. He removed the hat that designated him a kage. Tsunade drew a sharp intake of breath. Sarutobi. The Mizukage smiled. That is half of my name. I was born Gairu Sarutobi, the younger and infinitely inferior brother to the wonderful Gachu Sarutobi. He was top of every class. I was the class clown, so close to failing you wouldn't believe it. I eventually managed to pass, by which time young 13-year-old Gachu was already a jonin. I loved him though. He was B, and I could not hate him. I admired him, he helped me, and eventually I became a chunin. But that was my greatest loss. My love for Gachu. One time, during a mission, an incredibly skilled shinobi mimicked him, and approached us. He managed to K most of my squad, and when the rest saw me the one I knew was not Gachu, but they did not, they brought me in for treason. Gachu's influence managed to get me out of death, and I was instead banished. The men realized I did not K him, but thought I would have. I was identical to him, though 3 years younger. I was immensely saddened by his death. Tsunade sighed. So much trouble is caused by foolish noble people in this world. The Mizukage suddenly grinned. Well, will you aid us, and be our allies? Tsunade nodded. I will, but do not expect me to be nice to Mesike. That would be beyond asking. He held out his hand. Tsunade took it. That's settled then. From within the village hidden by thorns, a maniacal laughter was pervading the village. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.